December 1st, 1948, Somerton Beach, Adelaide, South Australia. Just after sunrise, a man walking along the beach notices something strange. Propped up against the seawall is a well-dressed man in a suit and tie. His legs are crossed, one arm resting casually behind his head. He looks almost peaceful, as if he simply fell asleep while watching the ocean. But he is dead. No one knows who he is. There is no identification on his body. Every label has been carefully removed from his clothes. In his pocket, police will later find the most haunting clue of all, a tiny scrap of paper with two Persian words written on it. Tamam shud. It means it is ended. This is the beginning of one of the most intriguing unsolved cases in modern history, a case involving secret codes, possible espionage, a mysterious nurse, and a man who refused to be identified even in death. You're listening to Archive Vault Podcast, where we open the sealed files and examine the mysteries that still refuse to die. I'm your host, Joshua. Tonight, we investigate the Somerton Man. Welcome to the vault. Everything you're about to hear is based on police reports, coroner's findings, declassified documents, and the groundbreaking DNA investigation that finally identified the man in 2022 now. Let's go back to the summer of 1948 in Adelaide, Australia. On the evening of November 30th, 1948, several people noticed a well-dressed man near Somerton Beach. Some saw him lying on the sand. Others thought he was drunk. One witness even saw him make a strange movement with his arm. The next morning, he was found dead. He appeared to be in his early 40s, around 5 feet 11 inches tall, with fair hair turning gray at the temples, and unusually high calf muscles, the kind you might see on a ballet dancer or someone who wore pointed shoes. His hands and feet were remarkably clean and well manicured. He was wearing a nice suit, a shirt with the label removed, a red and blue tie, and polished shoes. Everything about him suggested he was a respectable, possibly wealthy man. But there was no wallet, no ID, no watch. The police searched his pockets and found only a few insignificant items: an unused train ticket, a bus ticket, some chewing gum, and a pack of cigarettes with 7 Consita cigarettes replaced by cheaper ones. The autopsy only deepened the mystery. There were no obvious signs of violence. His organs appeared normal, yet the coroner believed the man had been poisoned. However, no traces of any known poison could be found in his system. His spleen was 3 times larger than normal, a possible sign of poisoning, but still inconclusive. The case quickly became known as the Somerton Man, or the Tamam Shud case. Then 4 months later, police made a breakthrough. Inside a hidden fob pocket in the man's trousers, a pocket that had been overlooked, they found a tiny, tightly rolled piece of paper. On it were the words, Tamam Shud. These words came from a very rare edition of the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam, a 12th century Persian book of poetry. The phrase means it is ended or it is finished. When police finally tracked down the exact book the scrap had been torn from, they discovered something even more puzzling inside the back cover: a handwritten code consisting of 5 lines of letters. To this day, that code has never been fully deciphered. Four months after the body was found, police made a significant discovery. While re-examining the man's clothing, they found a small, hidden fob pocket they had missed the first time. Inside was a tightly rolled piece of paper. On it were the words, Tamam Shud. These 2 words came from a rare edition of the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam, a famous collection of Persian poetry. The phrase means it is ended or it is finished. It was the very last line of the book. Police launched a nationwide search for the exact copy the page had been torn from. In July 1949, a man walked into a police station with a copy of the Rubaiyat. He said he had found it in the back seat of his car, which had been parked near Somerton Beach on the night the man died. Inside the back cover of the book, police found something extraordinary. 5 lines of handwritten letters arranged like a code. To this day, that code has never been officially cracked. Code breakers from around the world, including those from the Australian Department of Defense and amateur cryptographers, have tried for decades. Some believe it is a simple cipher. Others think it could be the first letters of words from a poem or a message. Some even suggest it might be a one-time pad, virtually unbreakable without the key. But the discoveries didn't stop there. When police examined the book more closely, they found a faint phone number written in pencil on the back cover. That number belonged to a young nurse who lived just a few minutes from Somerton Beach. Her name was Justin. When detectives visited her, she denied knowing the dead man. However, when shown a plaster cast of the man's face, she became visibly upset and asked if he had ever been identified. She refused to say anything more. Years later, it was revealed that Justin had a son born in July 1947. The boy had strikingly similar features to the Somerton Man. She would never publicly confirm any connection. The nurse, known only as Justin during the original investigation, became one of the most intriguing figures in the case. She was a 27-year-old trainee nurse living very close to Somerton Beach. When police showed her the plaster death mask of the unknown man, she appeared visibly shaken. She denied ever meeting him, but her reaction told a different story. She also refused to look at the body itself. Years later, investigators discovered that Justin had given birth to a son in July 1947, just over a year before the Somerton Man was found. When that son was later shown photos of the dead man, many people noted a striking resemblance, especially around the ears, nose, and jawline. Justin passed away in 2007, taking whatever secrets she may have had with her. Her son also died in 2019. The case took on even stronger espionage undertones. In 1948, Australia was in the middle of intense Cold War tensions. The country was home to several important defense facilities, including the Woomera rocket range and the British atomic test sites. Many suspected the Somerton Man could have been a spy, either Soviet, British, or American. His excellent physical condition, the removed clothing labels, the sophisticated code, and the mysterious connection to Justine all fueled speculation that he was involved in intelligence work. Over the decades, multiple theories emerged. He was a spy who was poisoned after a mission gone wrong. He was a jilted lover who committed suicide. He was a criminal on the run. He was simply a man who took his own life and wanted to disappear completely. None of these theories could ever be proven. For over 70 years, the Somerton Man remained one of Australia's most famous unidentified persons. Despite countless investigations, the case stayed cold. That finally changed in 2022. Professor Derek Abbott from the University of Adelaide, along with his team and a dedicated group of researchers, used modern genetic genealogy techniques to solve the identity. They extracted DNA from a preserved hair sample and cross-referenced it with public genealogy databases. In July 2022, they announced the man's identity: Carl Charles Webb, born in 1905 in Melbourne. He was a 43-year-old electrical engineer and instrument maker. He had been married but separated from his wife around 1947. He was also known to write poetry and had a quiet, somewhat reclusive personality. The identification brought some closure, but it also raised new questions. Why did Charles Webb travel over 500 miles from Melbourne to Adelaide? Why were all the labels removed from his clothing? What was his connection to the nurse Justin? And most importantly, what does the mysterious code in the Rubaiyat actually mean? Despite the identification, the cause of death remains officially undetermined. The code has still never been cracked. Many experts believe it may be a private message or the first letters of a poem, possibly written by Webb himself. The case that gripped Australia for 7 decades is now partially solved, but not completely. The Somerton Man case is a perfect example of how one unidentified body can create a mystery that lasts generations. A well-dressed man found dead on a beach. No name, no clear motive, a secret code, a mysterious woman, and a book of poetry with the final words, "It is ended." Even with Carl Webb's identity now known, the story still feels incomplete. We know who he was, but we still don't fully know why he was there, how he died, or what secrets he carried with him to that beach in 1948. The case perfectly captures the atmosphere of the early Cold War period, a time of spies, suspicion, and hidden lives. It reminds us that some people can disappear so completely that even their own death becomes a puzzle. To this day, the Somerton Man's code remains one of the few unbroken ciphers in modern history. Perhaps one day it will be solved, or perhaps it was never meant to be. Whatever the truth is, the man on the beach has finally been given back his name, but the full story of his final days may be lost forever. Thanks for listening to this episode of Archive Vault Podcast. The Somerton Man case file may be mostly closed, but the fascination remains. If you enjoy cold cases, codes, and mysteries that span decades, subscribe and join us next time as we open another file from the vault. I'm your host, Joshua. Until next time, some endings are never truly finished. Thank you for listening to Archive Vault Podcast. I hope you enjoyed this deep dive and found it insightful. Wishing you a great week ahead, and remember to subscribe so you don't miss our next episode. We'll be back soon with more stories from the archives. See you next time.